nice. It's so organized and pretty.
Yeah.
There's a comment from Jessie at the bottom. Welcome to Tea Time with Nerissa and Prisca. Hi, I'm Prisca.
I'm Nerissa. Last time we talked about financial independence in the US. We also mentioned a special job called begging.
Exactly. And on top of that, we talked about words like minimum wage and credit card when talking about the specific money that you make, and some other jobs related to fast food, restaurant chains, and terms like that.
上一期呢，我跟 Prisca 讨论了现在美国年轻人遇到的经济压力问题，以及他们可能做到的兼职工作。如果感兴趣，就看我们的上一期视频吧。
And today, we're going to be talking about the recent social media platform bans in the US. So as you may know, there were recent bans of WeChat and TikTok in the US as an order from President Trump.
Yeah, I'm really sad about that. Do you use TikTok? I know you use TikTok, right, Prisca?
Yeah, I only recently got into it because of COVID. You're quarantined at home, so you have all this extra time and you're kind of bored. So just a few months ago, maybe starting in like March or April, I started to use it a lot just like for entertainment. And then I also made some of my own TikToks too.
We know some TikTok stars and they make money by using TikTok and making small videos. It's really fun, right?
But other people who've used it for over a year have been making a lot of money in that time.
Yeah, and some people do full-time job to make that videos on TikTok.
Yeah, I was surprised too, especially considering how much money they can make. Yeah. It's very impressive.
Yeah, it's a lot. So after Trump announced that TikTok will be banned in the US, what are the public reactions?
Yeah, so most of the people who reacted negatively to this announcement were people who are Generation Z. They couldn't imagine losing that community and losing everything that comes with it.
And I also saw some protests in the news. Because I'm not in the US, I cannot join them personally, but I saw a lot of protests. Some people are pretty upset about it. So what do you think young people would do when it is actually gone?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been starting to prepare a little bit by advertising their Instagram account, so that a lot of their followers will move over there and keep that community. And apart from Instagram, people are starting to make YouTube accounts.
Yeah, but as far as I know, TikTok is a very special app actually, because it is specifically for short videos, and it will send you some very similar videos so that you can follow a lot of people who are like you, and then you can find your own community. But I don't think right now there is another app which has the same specialties as TikTok.
Exactly, yeah, I agree. And actually this week, Instagram released a new feature called Reels. And they're trying to attempt a little bit of that where you have some of those special effects that TikTok has. But you're right that it is going to be different in terms of finding that community, finding that humor, whatever it may be.
Okay, so apart from TikTok, WeChat will also be banned in the US, right? Although I'm in China, I still feel unhappy about it because it will be very inconvenient for Chinese international students to communicate with their own family. I know you also use WeChat, right? How do you like it?
Yeah, I actually just joined WeChat this year. So many people at Columbia are international students from China, and I wanted a way to keep in touch because so many of them use it, and everyone was telling me you should make one. I really like the convenience, being able to also connect it with your laptop, and the ease of it all is great. And I can see a lot of status updates from friends, which I really enjoy reading through.
Yeah, and I also release our programs through WeChat. If it is banned in the US, I don't know how could we communicate that easily.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a bit of an obstacle, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, maybe we need to find another platform. Many people post their Instagram on the WeChat moments to tell everyone that they will change platforms. But Instagram is also banned in China, so there will also be problems.
And I know that at least for most of our friends that we know, students from Colombia, luckily a lot of them have iPhones, so iMessage is still an option for them and meet us to communicate, but for some other social aspects, it will be different.
Yeah, it will be a challenge. Okay, now let's look at some new terms.
Great. So first up, we have the word social media platform. So this is just a term we use to talk about apps and websites such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course TikTok.
那我们的第一个词呢叫社交性的公众平台。那我们刚刚提到的 Facebook, Instagram, TikTok and WeChat, 它们所有的都属于 social media platforms.
Next up, we have the term Generation Z, also known as Gen Z for short. Technically, this is the age group that starts with people born 1995 and on, and it's the most active generation on social media, and they're known to have shorter attention spans, and they're kind of infamous for being constantly on the internet.
I know Generation Z is a very popular term now, trying to understand them actually, but they like TikTok because it's very short, so that reflects their shorter attention span. Yeah, sometimes I think of our professor, Dr. Williams. I think he cannot understand Generation Z.
At all. Definitely, I agree.
在美国，基本上是在1995年之后出生的年轻人，他们会称自己为 Generation Z。他们的特点就是非常喜欢玩我们现在的很多社交平台，他们会一直在网上与大家沟通，他们会有更短的注意力的时间，这就是为什么他们更喜欢玩这种短视频的平台啊。当然，我跟 Prisca 已经不属于 Generation Z 了，我们在试图的去理解他们，跟上潮流。
And our last term is protest, which is a public demonstration against some sort of political action or movement. In the US, protests are legal. Anyone can join and participate, and it's not dangerous, but sometimes violence with the police will happen.
那我们第三个词呢叫 protest。抗议这个词的中文翻译非常的严肃啊，其实在美国是一个很常见的行为，它是合法的，所有人都可以参与，而且大多数时间并不是很危险。Okay, Prisca, because in China we don't have protests. Have you ever joined one of the protests?
No, I actually have not been to a protest before. There were a ton happening in March and April with the Black Lives Matter protests happening. It was a very powerful movement. Protests went on for maybe 2 months or so.
So I don't think it's a good idea to join protests now because a gathering of people, so it's dangerous. But if in other situation, do you think protests actually work for solving the problem?
That's a good question. Not always. I think there needs to still be some sort of mission or some sort of petition that goes along with it. I think it does help to raise some awareness, but it doesn't always have some sort of tangible results.
Okay, so it's just a way to show your idea, to speak your idea out, and it's a legal way to do so. So I also heard some news, especially in China, to tell us that protests are dangerous and sometimes violence happens during protests. Is that true?
Yeah, so actually it will start out usually as a peaceful protest where the people who are protesting just have signs and maybe they're marching and there's no violence taking place. But oftentimes police who are watching or monitoring these protests will act out violently almost as a defense. They think that someone's going to act violent, so before they even have the chance, they'll act violently first. So it does happen often, unfortunately.
Okay, so protest itself is not a dangerous thing, but sometimes if you confront the police, violence do happen sometimes, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, it's good to know. I know there is another ban recently. We may not be able to use Zoom in September in China. So I don't know then how could we have online courses then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think online courses is going to be a big struggle, as well as just being able to interact with the other students who are in the US, because students will have things like group meetings taking place and talking to classmates. And I'm also thinking for me, I tutor many students who live internationally, many of whom live in China. So that's going to be another issue in terms of some of the work that I do. And people are going to need to find a new application or platform, and they're going to have to find one kind of quickly.
Yeah, so it seems to me a lot of trouble. So all those decisions about bans are mostly political, and they do affect our normal life. I think maybe for everyone's, or especially for students at this difficult time. So how do you feel about it? How do you feel about Trump's decision to ban all those social platforms or Zoom?
It's definitely unsettling, and it feels like a lot of it is not a pressing issue for the country. It feels a little bit unnecessary at times, but at the same time, because there's so many other events going on with the government and just in politics, I think this is a less serious issue, because there are going to be other platforms we can use. Luckily, there are alternatives, so it's a little bit easier to accept in terms of the news.
But it sounds to me very unfair and unnecessary sometimes. It's like a personal decision. And for me, it's kind of unacceptable to follow a person's order just because of his or her own preference. But it's true in the United States. So with a president, you have to follow their orders, right?
I agree. Yeah, it is definitely feels personal at times. I think that's a good way to describe it for why this decision took place.
今天我们跟 Prisca 讨论了一些最近发生的川普同学给我们下的一些禁令啊，关于 WeChat、TikTok， 还有关于 Zoom。那我们讨论了一下现在的中国和美国的大学生对此的反应是什么。我们也去聊到了一些相关的词，比如说 protest platforms， 还有 Generation Z。
Great. So we hope that you learned something new today. And next time, we're going to be discussing some of the barriers between international students and Asian American students. So we hope that you will join us for this topic.
那在学校的时候，我就发现呢，其实大家都喜欢抱团取暖啊。中国人会喜欢跟中国人在一起。Prisca 作为亚裔美国人呢，也会有他自己的社交圈子。其实我们在国外留学的时候，大家去作为圈子的融合，会更好的去适应国外生活以及学到更多的东西。但是事实是这一点是很难做到的。所以我们下一期就会讨论一下对于国际生和当地的一些亚裔美国人之间的 barriers 障碍的问题。So thank you for joining us today on Tea Time with Nerissa and Prisca.
See you next time. Bye.
I just realized I didn't say the Chinese definition of Generation Z. Yeah, I didn't, right? Did I? No, I didn't. I just mentioned Dr. Williams.
You're right. I don't think you did. Sorry, that was so easy.
I forgot how to say social platforms again in Chinese. What is that? Yeah, it's kind of difficult to transfer between languages.